hasn't it? And yeah, this is year 2 of the Back to Your Future interview series and social experiment. And I'm really excited to hear from all of the entrepreneurs from last year. And actually, I've lost a couple. I think there's a couple of people that just aren't replying to me. And so they must be either busy or they've moved into a different direction or whatever. It doesn't matter. But anyway, I'm going to bring my special guest on now, and we're going to catch up to find out what he's been up to for the last 12 months. Robin, can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear. Thank you, Martin. Awesome. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Really good. All things considered, you know, we have to maintain a positive attitude, don't we? Are you good?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And yeah, I can't believe a year's gone by already. It's absolutely nuts.
It's mad. You know, I thought it would go really slow because of lockdown, but actually it's gone quicker, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I there's moments, I think living over the last year has gone really, really slow at points, you know, with homeschooling and all the different challenges that are brought along with it. But then it's always that thing of hindsight, isn't it? You look back and go, oh my gosh, it feels like it's gone by in an absolute flash. But yeah, there were certainly some moments, I think, where it was like, oh gosh, is this ever going to end?
Yeah, we're going to dive into that as well to find out exactly what's been going on. But really good to have you back on, and I'm really excited to hear what's been going on in the world for you, in your personal life as well as your business life. So the first question I'd got was, you had an agency, a successful agency for many years, and you helped companies to grow and brand themselves. I've been focused heavily on branding and helping people brand. Last year, I developed a program called the Branding Advantage, and I launched it in beta. And I haven't relaunched it since because events have overtaken. But the feedback I got from the students that went through it was really great. And so, you know, branding is really important. But you moved away from that agency, the successful agency, because you had a meltdown, and you moved into a completely different direction. And I want to know what lessons you learned from, obviously, the agency, and whether you took it into the coaching, and the lessons from your kind of meltdown as well.
Yeah, meltdown's a strong word, isn't it? It was more of a mental sort of breakdown at the time. But yeah, dealing with sort of mental health and issues and depression and things like that were quite a major contributing factor to the agency. I mean, it's weird. It was actually 2016 when I made the decision to leave that agency behind or move on from it, and I'd been running it for sort of 12 years or so. It was the best decision I ever made. I still kind of, you know, it took a long time to kind of go through that exit and see it through. And the company that bought it kind of absorbed, you know, our clients into their roster. And, you know, my old business is now dissolved, which is kind of a bit sad, but it's bittersweet. But I'm much better off for it, not just financially, but mentally as well. I've got a lot more freedom than I had before when I was running that agency. You know, we had 120 odd clients. I had a team of 4 people. It was going great guns. It paid for my house renovation in my first property and all the good stuff. But mentally, it was just, I was constantly just on it all the time, and found it very difficult to switch off. And didn't realize that, you know, the only way at the time was to walk away from it. And I don't have any regrets about that. You know, what I've been able to create through the coaching practice now is just, it's, you know, I've gone way beyond wherever I think I probably ever could have got to if I'd stuck out the agency for longer.
And it's a key point, because obviously there's a lot of people that have struggled mentally over the last 12 months. A lot of people lost their jobs or were furloughed or whatever. The future was really uncertain. And, you know, to a certain extent, you've got control of your destiny because you're self-employed and you can help people with the business coaching that you do. So it's a really great position to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was always bittersweet. I mean, I set out some very clear goals for myself when I gave up the agency, and I kind of like to practice what I preach in that respect, because I think a major part of coaching is about having a very clear understanding about where you see yourself in the future. So obviously quite appropriate with, you know, this being the Back to the Future interview series. You know, I always knew so the agency days, probably our best months, we did 20K. Which doesn't sound like a lot in terms of, you know, but we're a small local agency, so that was a good turnover. When I gave up, I had one goal in mind, and that was to achieve the same turnover in my coaching practice as I did in my agency, but under my own terms. So without having those team of 4 people, without having all those clients like, you know, beckoning after you. And interestingly, you've hit me at a good time, because I did 2 months consecutively on 20K in January and February, and we're on track to potentially do it again this month. So,
wow.
you know, January wasn't just an accident. It seems we've hit a bit of a streak, and I don't know how long that might last for, but at the moment it's looking sort of very promising, you know. And I couldn't, there's no way I don't think I could have continued. I think that the agency would have died back. So I don't think it would have carried on at that rate. Whereas this, I feel like very optimistic about sort of what the future holds for the practice.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, you've been around the block a long time, and so there's a lot of stuff. You know, I've talked to you a lot, and it's been free advice, and you have to do that. And people forget that, don't they? They want instant gratification and instant money. They think that they're going to meet someone, and someone's going to give them $5,000, and it's like,
Yeah.
hang on a minute. Rather than, you know, let me just tell you a few snippets, and I've dialed into some of your live videos and podcasts and things like that, where I just had light bulb moments going off, and it was like, oh my God, that's just crazy. And I used an exponential curve that you used. Well, it was a reverse exponential curve, actually, for the price against the competition and things like that, you know, because where you're really low priced, there's massive competition, but exponentially, you know, it kind of reverses. And at the top end, and it was my cousin I was coaching, actually, or you know, just talking around. He was launching an app for his DJ business, and I said to him, you know, he's got this thing, and there's a lot of DJs at the £100 mark, but, you know, the likes of Avicii and Pete Tong and people like that, hundreds of thousands of pounds, just very few. So, you know, the competition goes away the more you scale off. So there's a sweet spot in the middle, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And I think people underestimate like the power of pricing. And you know, again, like this is something which I've had to unpack and unlearn a lot of my value system, especially when it comes to my money mindset. You know, we learn our money mindset. It's a blueprint, well, we don't learn it. It's a blueprint that's handed to us mostly by our parents by the age of 7. You know, and I have a 7 and a 4-year-old, and they can both count just about. My 7-year-old can obviously add up just about now as well, but there's no understanding of like what a fair value exchange is. So all you get is, oh, daddy, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? There's no like understanding about or fair negotiation there. But we take that blueprint that we, you know, and most of the time, you know, the reason why we have this poor money blueprint for most people is because our parents, oh, you can't have those shoes, they're too expensive, get the cheap ones, we can't go on holiday because we can't afford it this year. Oh, money doesn't grow on trees. There's lots of negative which we've inherited from our parents, you know, because most people weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth or a trust fund to kind of look back on. So it's quite interesting in terms of like starting to unpick that, and it's taken me a number of years to kind of get to that point whereby I can confidently kind of talk to people about pricing, but also you can't have the conversations with other people about pricing and money unless you get the principles yourself.
Yeah,
you can't, unfortunately, cobbler's shoes doesn't work in this instance, because you end up in that territory where a lot of coaches end up. And I hate to say it, this is one of the things which I didn't like about the coaching industry, and I still don't like it, is there's a lot of, am I allowed to swear, Martin?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay, you're hesitant, so I'll hold it back. There's a lot of really terrible coaches out there. Okay?
Yes.
You can probably imagine what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'd say 80% of the coaches out there don't know what they're talking about. They haven't done it themselves.
Yeah.
They haven't. They don't have a solid process or system. They're not certified. They don't have the reviews, case studies, and testimonials, and they shouldn't really be coaching.
Yeah.
And you hear the term "fake it till you make it" bandied around in the coaching space so much, and I think that is. It's an utter joke when people actually say stuff like that, because I believe in make it until you make it. So those people that you talked about there, Avicii and the big DJs, you know, Carl Cox was one of my icons, you know, back in the day in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And before that, late 90s. And, you know, he's lived and done it, and he can command those prices. And Carl Cox could teach other people about how to get to that price point.
Yeah.
But let's look at what Carl Cox has done, and it's great advice. What has he created that has allowed him to get to a point where he can A, articulate that value, and B, command that price. And rather than fake it till you make it, go and make the things that Carl Cox made, i.e., how many #1 records probably is Carl Cox associated with, or Avicii, you know, in terms of from a production level, right? To go and produce like 100 records, you know, and get some of them up to #1. Then you can start to, you know, you've made it until you've made it, so you can go and elevate your position. And I think too many people these days just want to fast track it. They don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to make all the things, you know.
It's true. It is completely true. I don't know if the internet's your end or whether it's my end that's playing up, but you're a bit pixelated, so we'll muddle through. Hey, technical difficulties never stop us, do they? And your
it might be my end because I've got my HD camera on, so
okay.
I can probably, if I've got access to the settings, I can probably
lower the resolution.
Just whilst I sort that out, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll drop it down to standard def. Let's see if that makes a difference.
I love the background, by the way, and the colours. Brilliant. So your business model for your coaching business now is around optimizing businesses. And given the situation last year with COVID-19, obviously a lot of businesses may have changed their approach. Have your principles stayed the same? The core principles still the same? And has your approach stayed the same?
I think I've lost you. Let me just drop it down again, just in case.
Have you got me?
Have I lost you? Are you back?
Did you get any of that?
I got bits of the start of the question, I think. So maybe just reframe it and then we'll go for it again.
Yeah, no worries. So it was basically saying that your business is around, and your business model is around optimizing people and their businesses, obviously. Has your approach changed given COVID-19 and a lot of people's situations changed, or are the core principles still the same?
Yeah, what's changed? I put my prices up for a start, and that sounds very disingenuous given that there's a pandemic going on and there's lots of people struggling. But the reality is, and this is what most people haven't realized, because of the pandemic, a lot of things have actually changed in like business wise. And for many people, especially when you got, you know, like I said, I've got young kids and they're homeschooled. My wife still works pretty much full time, so she's 4 days a week as a lawyer. And so what that meant is I had to step up and do more work. So if I wanted to make the same money, now I've got less capacity as a business owner. The only way to achieve that is by, you know, increasing my prices. And I don't feel bad about doing that, because if I kept them where they were, who's to say that I might have struggled and I might have got resentful because I wasn't making the money to keep things ticking over, keep my wife in the bling that she, you know, has got used to. And I'm being facetious. She doesn't have too much bling. But you know what I mean? I may have struggled, and therefore I wouldn't have been able to deliver as good a service as I'd wanted to, or that my clients needed. So it was actually important to keep on going through the gears in terms of from a pricing perspective. And what I saw a lot of people do was start offering discounts, and discounts are just, they obliterate business. Because, you know, a 5% discount means you've got to sell 15% more of the same thing to make the same profit. So it kind of compounds as the money falls down through the profit and loss account. Discounts, you know, and I saw week one of lockdown and everybody's doing buy my stuff type offers. I saw somebody, and she had a great product where she was teaching people like how to build online courses, perfect for the pandemic. And so, but she dropped her price by 75%. And I saw the post and I was like, no, don't do that. I said, you're because part of it was it was a done with you course. So part of it involved her time. So I said to her, what's your capacity? And she's like, well, X number of people. And she literally sold out because she had a good course. It was only £500. She dropped it to 125 quid.
Oh, wow.
And she should have been charging double that in the first place, because it was one of the best online course creation courses out there. Something quite meta about that. So she dropped it. Anyway, I got a call a week later saying, Robin, you were right. I need some help. How do I create more capacity? I was like, you can't undo what you've done now. These people are locked into a 12 or 20 week program, or however long it was. You're going to have to see that through before your capacity releases, unless you can find a way to bring people in. But if you do that, you're going to have to double your prices at the original rate. And unfortunately, I think she really struggled and has finally been able to kind of lift herself back out of the mire. But so far as Fearless was concerned, no, I was already online in 2018 in terms of the program. So I launched the group accelerator in, when was it? November 2018. We started the first cohort on the 1st of January 2019, or 2nd of January 2009. So we were already very much online, tried and tested. We had the tech sorted out, and we had the Zoom going on, and we had everything all systemized and automated. So I was very fortunate. And actually, the side which did make a bit of a difference to me, so my one-to-one clients, I have a group program and one-to-one. With the one-to-one, that was always, I would typically go to the client. So of course, immediately that stopped, but then it saved me a load of time in terms of traveling and preparation and all the rest of it. So that was a big bonus, actually. And do you know what? I think the clients, my one-to-one clients, have ended up getting better value for me, because I'm not traveling, I can actually, we do our coaching session, but I've got more time to give you more turbo calls and support and help. Because I had one client in medical aesthetics, which was heavily affected by, it's a bricks and mortar business, heavily affected by the pandemic. Straight away they got shut down for 4 months. Wow. And mentally they were struggling, because it was a busy business. They had 3 clinics, they had a team of 12 full-timers, 3 part-timers on top of that. They were really struggling to keep the wheels on, and needed that extra level of support to get through.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? How things have just it's been crazy for a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, and it's great to see that you've obviously pushed through and growing. It's amazing. So the other thing I wanted to say is that last year I re-listened to last year's interview, and last year you said about making impact with your business and your business coaching. Can you describe one of the conversations maybe that you've had in the last year where you've had that impact with one of your clients?
Yeah, so I'll talk about our latest client. He's literally just joined. She's already made her money back on the program. So I know this is very capitalistic and materialistic to kind of talk about money so much, but it's a nice, it's something easy. It's an easy concept for people to grasp. But she built an online course, which inadvertently, she was selling it for quite a low price, and I motivated her, inspired her to take off some of the extra Facebook support and group call time of it, because it was priced at a point that should be DIY, like here's the course and that's it. So, and she literally only joined, what date are we on now? So she joined on Tuesday the 16th, was on our first call on Wednesday the 17th, so last week.
9 days.
By the weekend, she closed 12 grand's worth of business on a new mastermind that we created. Now, ultimately, some of that's spread out over the next 12 months, but in terms of like invoiced work to bank over the next 12 months, 12 grand is quite a remarkable amount. She's got 7 people into her new mastermind that we've created for her, and she's just like blown away at how quickly we've done that. And that's going to make a massive difference to her, because she's talking about her husband made redundant. Does he have to go back to work? Well, now they've got choices. Does he go back to work or not? They can afford maybe for him to think about joining her in the business. So there's loads of really cool, like pixie dust moments which come after we've done the work, around productizing and putting your prices up.
That's fantastic. I love that. And it's tangible as well. Within a week, it's tangible, and you've got those results for that client. So next thing is a testimonial from her to say, oh my God, this is life-changing. This is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, within a week is rare. I should probably have to put that caveat on there naturally. But, we've had clients, most clients get their results within 3 to 6 months. And the thing is, with small business owners, you can see the tangible outcomes. I've said I think last year when we talked about this, my client who they were able to save up for their wedding, they were able to save up a deposit for their first house, they were able to, Rich got an office. His wife actually in the last year has given up her job in the NHS and now started working in the business full time. And that it's things like that I don't know. It's really easy to measure it when you're working with individuals, like grassroots level business. When you start to move into corporate, the impact is harder sometimes to measure as a coach or a consultant immediately. So that's what it's all about for me. And we've also, I think our charity partner 4Ocean now. My goal was always to get 100 kilograms pulled out of the sea, pulled out of the sea. And we managed to achieve that as well over the last, well, probably it's taken us a little bit longer than 12 months. I think we were probably about 20 or 30 kilos in, but we've just achieved the 100-kilogram target. And obviously we'll keep on trucking along with that. You know, every client that joins Fearless, we have that little bit of, you know, giving something back to the world.
That's amazing. It was one of your other charities, because you didn't charge me for your book. You said donate to a charity. And was it Little Acorns?
No, it was all sorts Gloucestershire, but it was
All
a similar,
sorts, yes.
yeah, very similar charity actually. But yeah, helping sort of disadvantaged children, mostly have suffered with things like brain injuries and disabilities and things like that. So helping them to sort of have days out and holidays and things which their parents and they wouldn't otherwise necessarily get.
Yeah,
that I did that through StroudNet. StroudNet, I've actually well, I suppose this is a change as a sort of indirect result. StroudNet, we did the last one in November 2019, and the plan was to do the odd one here or there, you know, rather than it kind of being monthly or bi-monthly. And with COVID, just haven't been able to pick that up. But actually, that's where we raised 5K for All Sorts Gloss over 4 years through StroudNet.
Yeah.
But things move on.
It's nice to give back.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And over the last year then, has there been anything really massively changed in your personal life or life changing because of the crazy corona world that we've been living in? Have you gone, you know what, this is what I'm going to do differently?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting in terms of like how the impact it's had on home life. What I always struggled, and this is where the mental health side of things kind of comes into it. So I'd always struggled to work out what it was that I needed in order to keep myself calm, collected, grounded, and all those sorts of things, because business and life was always quite busy and, you know, away we go. And actually lockdown, when you kind of brought homeschooling into it, that brought with it some stress, but it also made me realize about, you know, I think there were moments in my life pre-lockdown where I'd get 30 minutes worth of peace and quiet sort of here or there, you know, when maybe, you know, both the girls had started at school and things like that. And I hadn't quite come to terms with how beneficial that was for my peace of mind.
Yeah.
And my wife always mistakes it that I don't want to spend time with her or the kids. It's not that at all. I think everybody just needs quiet periods of time to contemplate stuff. So one of the best things that we did actually was we were going to get a dog this last summer anyway. Everything started kicking off and we're like, we're going to go into lockdown. So we did what probably half the country did. We went out and got a puppy, albeit he was 16 weeks old at that point. He wasn't quite a young puppy, or 20 weeks old. And God, he's been brilliant. An absolute menace at times, but he's got me out, you know, onto the common throughout the winter, walking in fresh air and just engaging with the world, having those quiet moments, sometimes slightly mental moments, chasing the dog around the countryside. But that's really kind of starting to draw me back into, I've always been work, Martin. And it's made me I haven't quite got it sorted just yet about the work-life balance of how much time I need to spend with the family, but I'm certainly being pulled more towards that way. I think I would have just let life pass me by if lockdown hadn't have happened. Does that kind of make any sense at all?
Total sense, because exactly the same. You know, my two sons now are 14 and 13, and we've had a blast. You know, they do the homeschooling. They're old enough to actually just get online and get on with it themselves, which allows me to then get on with my daytime job as well. And at the end of it, we kind of in between the lessons and that, we lunch together and things if I'm working from home. And it's great. It's fantastic. I totally get it. And likewise, I've got the dog, go out running with him, or just to get away from the screens, because I am finding that I'm doing a lot more screen time. But just to get away from the screens. Totally get it.
Yeah, I feel that. But like as I was online, I've always sat in front of screens I'm surprised my eyes aren't like in a worse state than they actually are. I've been into computers for like 20 plus years. But yeah, it was kind of bittersweet when the girls went back to school. But I think again that you need that balance. You need to know what the boundaries are. You need routine and things like that. I tell you one thing, I've got a massive newfound respect for teaching, because I mean trying to get a 6, or she was at the time 6 and a 4-year-old to focus on 2 separate bits of work. And having going through the complexities of their work, the work the teachers have laid out for us, like each day. It was mental. Like I'm just hats off to teachers to be able to do that day in and day out.
It is really frightening. It is. Okay, so the next question. We talked last year about the people that we interact with on our social media channels, or the content that we put out, and I'd like to dive deeper into this again because it's really important now, and social media has been growing all the time, and particularly for business. I talk a lot about organic traffic and organic social media and things like that. A lot of other people do too. Some people are making good money from it, but others aren't. And what do you think the key is to organic traffic, or just making social media work for online businesses?
It just comes down to value. Like if you actually market with a view to selling, you're doing it wrong, because that's what most people do. They market for sales, not signals. And there's a great, in fact, I'm going to read it because it's just here. I was actually talking about this morning. So it's a great book called Breakthrough Advertising. Eugene Schwartz is a legend. You can't get this on Amazon, by the way, or you can. It's several $1,000s.
Wow.
So chapter 1, paragraph 1, he talks about what a marketer's job is, right? So he says, marketing cannot create desire for a product. It can only take the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exist in the hearts of millions of people and focus those already existing desires onto a particular product. This is the marketer's task, not to create that mass desire, but to channel and direct it. So if you think about it, people already have to have some kind of innate need for whatever product it is that you're selling. Yeah. And your job, through your branding, through your marketing, is to take that collective desire and say, hey, do you want to come over here a second? I've got something really cool to show you. I've got some great value. Have a look at that. And if you like what you see, you can hang out in our club for a bit. And if you like hanging out in our club for a bit, we've got some even more amazing stuff over here that you've got to pay for it. But at that point, hopefully you'll know, like, and trust us. Yeah. And I think I'm going to say something probably a bit controversial here, but when you see on social media, these people are just posting like inane quotes on Twitter and Instagram and all this stuff. Like, seriously, what value is that bringing to the world? But if you're out there and your clients are web designers, give them 10 of your best tips to grow their web design business, right? Give them something of remarkable value, whether, in video format or a PDF or whatever it might be. But if you just put like the amount of people, when's a good time to post? It doesn't matter. It's like the wrong question to ask. How many times it doesn't matter. Yeah. And the purpose is, like, do you know your audience? Do you know when they're online? Now, and also, what do they want? Now go and give it to them.
Yeah. It's absolutely true. Yeah, Esther's, we've got people online, and Esther's just said, true value is really important. It absolutely is, because those inane comments or motivational quotes, they'll get 200 likes or whatever, because I get that all the time, and that's great. I do an ad hoc one every now and then to up the engagement, but I put out value posts, and I put one out this week, and I'm giving away I've called it the 6-figure operating model, and I'm giving it away. And it's basically a Word document and a framework and videos that show you exactly how to take people through a journey to get them to that know, like, and trust. And the engagement was really low. And so, it goes to show, doesn't it? I thought that was huge value. It may have been, and it may have been Facebook holding it back.
Now, you see the magic formula, Martin, is an 80-20 principle. Okay. So there's a difference between building remarkable marketing assets and then marketing activity, right? So marketing, you should spend 80% of your time or money building amazing, remarkable marketing assets like the one you've created. Yeah. And then 20% of the time signposting people to those assets. Okay, so you put the asset out there and and done your marketing activity. You've actually thrown them both out in the same post. What you probably need to do is, you've got the asset available. Now you just need to drive probably a dozen or 20 posts to that one asset. And the other thing as well is, like, likes, comments, and shares. There's no currency in that at all. Okay, those are vanity metrics as far as like marketing is concerned. Because I bet if you had if there was even if it was just a quote and 2 people said I like that, if you messaged each of those 200 people and started a conversation with them, I can near as damn it guarantee that some of them would book a consultation and maybe 1 or 2 would become clients. Yeah. Most people, though, again, slightly controversially, are too lazy to do the engagement piece. They're
Yeah.
too lazy to sit there messaging people because it's going to take an hour or two out of their day.
Yeah.
They're too busy to have meaningful conversations with people.
Yeah.
And my approach is very much the opposite of that. I do a lot of the social media posting, high value stuff, and keep it consistent and regular. My key thing, though, is I'll always try and make time for people. I'll always stop and have a conversation where I can. And that marketing assets versus activity is like pivotal to that sort of process.
Yeah.
There was somebody on Clubhouse this morning who her question was, I can't remember, I can't articulate it exactly, but she's got something like 17,000 people in her Facebook group, and she gets about a 50 to 60% reach rate on her posts. That's pretty high.
That is
right?
good.
And her question was, how can I get more reach? Right. So I said to her, your problem isn't about like marketing to more of a cold audience. I said, did you put a call to action in the end of your post? What's the call to action? Right. Okay. So this is where you've given them value. You've clearly got good engagement there, because she was not just the reach, but she was getting the vanity metrics, likes, comments, and shares.
Yeah.
But she forgot to tell people what to do next.
Yeah.
Right. She just assumed that they would automatically know what they should click on next and how to interact with her. Yeah. So, and I said very simply, next post you put out, look, last line at the bottom. And I can't remember what her post was about, but let's say it was about this book. I don't know. Put breakthrough in the comments below at the end of your post, right? A bit later on, I get a message in my Instagram inbox, Robin, I did what you said, and automatically I've got 10 people in my DMs.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the follow-on, isn't it? Taking it deeper to that deeper level, because on the surface, yeah, it's loads of engagement. They forgot about you and your video or whatever you put out there instantly because they've moved on to the next thing. Whereas if you then jump into DMs or there's a call to action where you say to them, hey, if you want to chat about this, that takes it to that next level, doesn't it? And that personalized service. Yeah. And
we're not talking about the sleazy people who are doing like LinkedIn DMs here. When you know what the deal is, they're trying to sell you something, right?
Yeah.
We're actually talking about people who've gone, yeah, I love that, Martin. That document, which you did 6 steps or whatever it was, amazing. Now what? Okay, they're telling you, they're signaling that they're really interested to hear like what you're going to say next. So engage with them, just pull them into a conversation.
Yeah, that's amazing. And this segues nicely into the next question, because a lot of people have decided to get into business and start a business, and pretty much most of them, particularly the people that I'm engaging with, are in the online space, so online marketing. Have you got 3 things that you believe that people should really focus on if they're starting an online business now in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, this happened in, my very first sort of side hustle business way back when was around the start of the .com boom and bust. My second business, we were running that through the last recession in 2008, the financial recession which we had then, and obviously this has created massive sort of shift in the economy. And I don't even think we've tipped the iceberg in terms of like what the fallout's going to be, but. What happened was during both of the 2 previous ones was there was a mass movement of like a redeployment of employees and people, the workforce. So we had people in the workforce who were going and starting up businesses, and vice versa, people who had businesses that maybe went under and they were forced into going to get a job. Yeah. Now what that does, the best thing about that, and I don't think many people see the benefit of this necessarily, but hopefully when I explain it, it will be like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. The benefit of that is diversity of ideas. Because now we've got a load of people who didn't have businesses before coming into creating businesses, and vice versa. Loads of people, entrepreneurs, now going into taking their entrepreneurial ideas into businesses. So it can only be a good thing, albeit in the moment it's a little bit. So my tips for anybody who's kind of just starting out. Do you remember this little thing called Google?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Google still exists, even though we've got Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, now Clubhouse, Facebook, you name it, LinkedIn, YouTube, all these different apps. Google is still a winner, right? So set up a Google My Business account and make sure it's verified, smash out all of the details in your profile, and then go and get 10 to 20 reviews. They don't have to be from clients. They can be from friends, colleagues, or people who can vouch for you. Just make sure they're genuine reviews. And for most small local businesses, that will be enough to generate some organic inbound traffic. Okay. And so that's my first tip. The second tip actually is kind of closely linked to that. People still love videos. Hey, but they do take a bit of effort, but build it into your workflow so that you don't have to be always producing like top tips or top mistakes or, that crazy, like if you're just starting out, just document your startup journey. Like very simply, blog about it, drop on Instagram lives on there and talk to people about what you're working on in your business, what you're planning on doing today or this week to grow your business. Talk about an interaction you've had with your client. Just document what you're doing in your business, because I can guarantee you'll build an audience of people who are just interested to see like what it is that you're getting up to. And then the third thing, like I said, is to, where you can, just make time for conversations with people. People want to get to the sale too quickly, right? If you focus on building an audience and put some time into that relationship, the money will come. I've always found that money, when I was trying to make money, I struggled to make money. Okay. When I went out to make an audience and build a relationship, the money came as a natural byproduct to doing a job well done. And I'm not, Johnny Big Bollocks here by saying I'm loaded and all that, this, that, and the other. But my good start to the year has come from just investing £1 into the meter every day and earning a little bit of compound interest with all of the relationships I've built over the last 20 years. And now I get the opportunity to kind of draw down on those relationships and pull a little bit of money back out in the business. So those are my 3 tips.
Awesome. They are really, really good as well. Love that. The next question is a little bit of a fun one, because I want to know, last year you talked about being reckless and fearless. And now I just want to know if you've added stuff to your bucket list from being reckless. Last year you talked about hooning it down a hill on a bicycle at, I don't know, it was about 50 or 60 kilometers an hour, or, 52
and a half miles an hour.
Yeah. So have you added anything? Are you still reckless, or have you kind of mellowed a little bit?
I'm still out on my bike when I can get out. We used to go out doing a lot of sort of club rides and stuff like that. Still do. Obviously, when lockdown reopens again and we can go out as a group, I'm quite looking forward to that. But I made, in between the lockdowns, I went to the Wave in Bristol, which is a new thing. That was only just a thing, I think, when we spoke before. But I went and did the advanced setting on that. That was a big mistake. It's normally an hour-long session, and about 45 minutes in, I was like, I can't take this anymore. I'm just getting pummeled. My first or second wave, because the takeoff is so, I don't know if you know much about surfing. The takeoff was so steep.
I've done a little bit, yeah.
So you hit the water head first when you get it wrong at probably about 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, right? Imagine if your head hit a pavement.
Yeah.
But on one of the waves, I forgot to close my mouth. So
Gulp.
I just swallowed a whole load of water, which I think then squirted out my ears, made my eyes pop out, and then I was just like, no. And the lifeguard came and spoke to me after. He's like, "You all right? You haven't hurt yourself?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm done. I just can't. It's too much for me."
Macaron, isn't it? It really does take it out of you.
So I'm booked in for a Waikiki surf on the 2nd of April when they reopen. So I'm gonna go in there, have it's much more gentle, slower wave. Just imagine Hawaii 5-0 sort of.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, we're almost at the end then. So how do you see 2021 panning out for you and your business? Because it started off amazingly, as you've said, 2 huge months, January and February, which is fantastic. How do you see it panning out for the rest of the year?
I think we've hit a nice stride of things, and it's about now just sort of consistency. So last year we did on average 4 clients a month. I'm hoping that we'll do the same. I think that the pressures on the economy are going to close in on us a little bit heading into the autumn and winter at the end of this year. And I think be interesting to see how the business world kind of reacts to that. But I think the businesses who are still in business, and we must probably have a moment's silence for all of the people who have gone out of business, because I do think it's quite sad that you hear stories about people who had family run businesses on the high street that've been around for 135 years and things like that. I mean, it's a disaster, really.
It is.
But this year I think the people who are in business now or still in business are super serious. They want to make it successful. I think we're going to have a lot of very highly motivated and inspirational entrepreneurs come out of this. I think we're going to get some, like, Clubhouse has started up, which only came out in April last year. In app terms, that's like, whoa, that's super quick. And it blew up over Christmas and the New Year. So these Twitter already onto it, creating their own version of it. And I think we're going to see more innovation in business. So things like Clubhouse, like if you think about it, yes, we've had TikTok, we had Snapchat before that, but Instagram probably just before that. Like there's been like a really slow sort of trajectory of apps coming out. And I think Clubhouse is the first of what's going to be many apps that people have just been like, I've been made redundant, or my business has gone under. I'm going to try something different, and whoosh, off we go with several like amazing apps that are going to help business.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I'm excited for it as well. So that is the end of the interview, Robin. And I'm really appreciative of your time. You've given some real golden nuggets out there, and you've got the T-shirt on. So just point people to where you want them to go, and how can they reach you online?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a ton of free resources on fearless.biz, which is our website. You can go and apply for a free copy. You can't see it because it's blurred, but the blue book behind me, Take Your Shot.
And it's amazing. It's a great read. I couldn't put it down when I started. I love it.
So if anybody wants a free copy of that, fearless.biz/TYS for Take Your Shot. I'm happy to pop those in the post to anybody who is checking in and watching. And then if you can Google Robin Waite, basically, make sure you put the E on the end, but Robin Waite, and you'll find me all over Google. And that's 20 years worth of my marketing experience gone into that Google fame stuff there.
Nice. And I'm really looking forward to year 3 next year. It's really amazing to see the changes and know that you're going in the right direction, and even better.
I think I'm going to have I've got some grey hairs that have appeared over the last 12 months in my beard. So I think I might have a full grey beard by the next time we speak.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Robin. Really appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Martin.
Catch up soon. Take care.
Cheerio.
Thanks. Bye.